What's going on, guys? Today, I'm going to be doing my presentation on the inequality that is occurring between public and private schools. Okay, so for the introduction, as time progresses, the disparities between public and private schools are becoming increasingly evident, facing daily disadvantages that manifest themselves through curriculum, social structures, extracurricular activities, and even lunch programs. Students in the public school systems have been found to be less likely to matriculate than their peers, those that are included in private schools. The demographics of those schools are a direct representative of the inequality that is still embedded within the roots of American culture. It is no coincidence that the majority of students who occupy public schools are students of color, who unsurprisingly are facing some sort of domestic dilemma. This issue is one that has existed for many years and continues to hinder the progression of students around the country. So just to comment on that, I think within public schools, I think that it's definitely more likely to have lower graduation rates, higher instances of teenage pregnancy, and just various issues that we see plaguing the youth within our culture today. I think these things are much more likely to be evident within the context of public schooling. So for my key ideas and findings, I've said that research has revealed that public and private schools tend to implement different teaching styles, and in my own personal opinion, it is important when teaching that we use strategies that best fit our students and work better for them. While this should not be the case in all ideal classroom settings, it unfortunately is not. So just to comment on that, I think that it is definitely, I definitely think that teachers can definitely maybe lose sight of why they're occupying that position in front of the classroom. I think that as future teachers, we must remember that we are standing in the positions that we are for the growth and progression of our students, and not just to get a paycheck. So to continue, public schools have been found to have to maintain tighter budgets as well. They said to have been more affected by more affected by local politics. Public schools are at a greater risk of financial deficits, which in result place many different setbacks on students, such as a lack of academic resources and funds to provide adequate food programs for students. So this is one of the disparities or common disparities that are typically seen among public and private schools, the lack of resources that take shape in various forms, which also can result to the negative effect on or the lack of student progression, which should be the top priority. But unfortunately, within these schools, it has not been. Class sizes can have a big effect on student learning as well, and this has been exposed as a key difference between private and public schools. While private schools typically conduct strict selection processes, public schools don't always have that option, and as a result, class sizes in public schools tend to be larger in the long run, and this can have a negative effect on learning. So I don't know about you guys, but I know that I think that I would personally I'd do better in a smaller classroom setting. I think that especially within the early years of schooling, or the beginning years of high school and everything, I think that it's definitely important that our school systems do a good job at regulating our classroom sizes. Again, for the progression of students, so that they're not overwhelmed and feel that lack of a connection that's needed with their teacher, so as to, feel comfortable enough to go and ask for help, and not feel like they're one in 100 students, So some more key ideas and findings that I have. Diversity within public schools can at times be an obstacle for teachers. Some teachers and administrators may be sensitive to different cultural backgrounds and the interactions among individuals from different backgrounds. And so in 1993, 28% of public school students in grades 1 through 12 were Black or Hispanic, compared to 17% in those to those in private schools. Definitely reiterates one of the points that I was driving home earlier. Public schools have been found to maintain populations with higher percentages of English language learners, and as a result, there's a greater demand on school resources such as exams, classes, and textbooks to accommodate the learning needs of English language learners. In 1993 through 1994, 5% of public school students had limited English proficiency when compared to those of 1% that was found in private school students. Personal problems tend to be more prevalent among public school students. Alcohol and drug use, along with poverty, are some of the most biggest threats to public school students. Even if they are not directly involved in these things, someone close to them could be, which also has the power to hinder their academic development. In all types of communities, public school teachers were much more likely than private school teachers to believe that each of these problems was serious in their schools. And just a little graph here. Okay, so its connection to the key theory that I used here. And so the key theory I used here was understanding intersectionality through classism. So there are many ways that the disparities between public and private schools are connected to intersectionality through classism. As I previously stated, the demographics within public and private schools are a direct representation of the social structure of our society as a whole. It is unsurprising that public schools maintain a higher population of ethnically diverse students and English language learners. Furthermore, the typical placement of public schools within urban settings is a key indicator of a great disparity. Urban settings, which have been known to be home to a more ethnically diverse population, are typically the location of public schools, which has a large effect on the school itself. Private schools, on the other hand, which maintain less diverse populations among students, are known to have been placed in settings that are more socially acceptable. And in conclusion, the differences between public and private schools are very clear and will continue until society begins to change altogether. So just a few questions I threw in here. So the first one for you guys to think about, the first one is, what do you think the source of the inequality in our schooling system is? The second being, what are some key differences between public and private schools? The third, what are some disadvantages between public and private? What are some disadvantages public school students face that you've personally witnessed or heard of firsthand? And the last being, what are some key ways that we can improve the overall quality of public school education and resources provided for students? And so, just some personal thoughts on my implications for my future as a teacher. There are many ways that this knowledge can affect my work as a future educator. Knowing that the public school students are faced with these disadvantages has the power to fuel one with a deeper desire to educate them. Prior to learning about this, there was already a desire within me to work with students in public schools. And as an educator, this knowledge provides me with the initiative to help provide students with the resources they lack and prepare them to be a blessing to those that are around them. And in conclusion, the understanding gained from this research reveals the true meaning of teaching and deepens the desire to help students succeed. So thank you guys for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.